Oh, hey, I feel like we were just here. It's time for sheet 7, kids. So sheet 7 is all about putting in the piston and the rings. That's a pretty straightforward piece of this. Okay, you saw me do this. If you've seen the 318 video, you've seen me do this. Okay, we have a smaller version of. Oops, you can't see that. Ugh. What a goob. What a goob. We have a smaller version, you see here, of the ring compressor that I used on the other one. Always want to have the band so it's closest to the cylinder. Okay, if you put this side down toward the cylinder, it'd have time. It wouldn't be gripping the rings as tight, and they could actually splay out a little bit before you get to try to get in, and then you'd have a problem. Okay, that is no bueno, senor, no bueno. Now, some dingbat left the connecting rod on this, which is not the end of the world. It was me, obviously. Don't get yelled at this. That wasn't Cadence's fault. It's my fault. But anywho, I'm going to go ahead and take it off if that's okay with you. Judas Priest! It's like someone used a torque wrench. Anywho, oh, good Lord. Anyway, yeah. So we are going to put this dog in. If you recall from the other day, we were doing it on the big engine. If you've seen those videos, which if you haven't, I don't know what your problem is and what you're waiting for. Worked long and hard on those videos. Okay, so anywho, we doing this, and come on, Betsy, you got this. You got this. Now, there it is. Now, always want to remember when this goes in, we're going to do it so that the open end faces toward the valves. Okay. Now, also, remember that our ring gaps need to be roughly, they just don't need to be lined up. Now, the page says about 120 degrees. That's cool. It's whatever. Only the compression rings that really, 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 really matter. Okay. So make sure they're spaced out good. I'm going to grab some oil real quick. Apparently that ran off too. It's like everything's working against me today. OMG, Osh. OMG, Osh. Anywho, we are going to put a little bit of oil in the cylinder like we did on the big motor the other day. All right. Cool. Just lube it up just enough to help slide it in. Okay. Ordinarily, I would dunk these in oil as well. So I was going to say it would make a big mess, but maybe pouring on it makes a worse mess. I don't know. I was just trying to save having to waste some oil and make a big mess, but apparently making a big mess happened regardless. Anywho, here we go. So we have it here. We're going to slide that over our piston and rings. Come on, get on there, you hippie. Now, you're going to want to have part of the skirt sticking out the bottom. You see that? Don't get carried away. You don't want this all the way to the bottom. If you go all the way to the bottom, what will end up happening is you have no real way to line up the piston with the hole properly. Okay, so again, connecting rod, open end goes that way. This is a tricky one to run because unlike the one from the big engine, this one does not have a hold down lock situation. So I'm going to hold it with one hand and tap it in with the other. Oh, it slipped on me. Darn it. Oh, I think she slipped. I might have to start over again. Darn it. She slipped on me. Rats. Rats. Okay, so what had happened there was it slipped out of the bottom, the top compression ring slipped out before I was able to drive it all the way in. Worthless beggar. So I'm going to tighten her up again. I'm going to go ahead and set it on the top of the piston there. The piston in tight, just inside. Oh, get up there where you belong, you hippie. Just inside the hole. I'm going to snug her up. Now the tricky part is being able to hold it tight while tapping it. There, she's in. Woo! Now, you'll notice it twisted on me just a little bit. That's easily remedied, friend. Okay? Now, you don't want to get down too far because one of our next steps is going to be putting in the crankshaft. Okay? We got to leave room for him to go in. Goodness sakes. All right. They're not too much, these little engines, but sometimes they're annoying because they're so small. I suppose it'd be like trying to work on a little kid or something, you know. They're squirming all over the place. If you were a doctor, you know what I mean? Like, sit still, like a normal person would sit there, but a little kid be all over the place. Here we go. There we go. Did that. What would happen if you put the rings in upside down? And listen, anything to do with rings, it's going to do with compression. You with me? Boom. Okay. Done, and done. Now, what we're going to do, and I will clean the compressor up later. I'm not going to do it now. Let me tell you right now, that is my least thing that just pisses me off. It's the thing that pisses me off more than anything else, dealing with kids. It says clean it up. What'd you do? No, I put that oily, nasty thing back in the toolbox, Mr. Groom. That's cool, man. All right. So what we're going to do is this. You're going to put in the valve lifters. They're already got lube in them. We're going to stick them back in. Okay? We're going to coat the crankshaft with assembly lube and put it in. We're going to do that. Cool. We're going to push the piston down, and we're going to put it on the connecting rod, and we're going to then torque it down. Okay? And then we're going to install the rod cap and the right torque and all that, and we'll get it going here. Okay? Now, pretty much, again, this is all doing stuff we just got done doing in the last video, so I'm not going to spend an hour going over it again. The one that has a little bit of yellow paint on it, that was my exhaust. So remember, intake is the bottom one. Exhaust is the top one here. Beautiful. Okay, already got lube on the crankshaft, so I'm not going to fool with that. So here we go in. And what you'll notice is that once you get in there, that connecting rod's kind of in the way. So lift it back up. Keep your hand on top of it, though, because what you do not want to do is shoot it out the top of the cylinder. That would be very annoying. Now, if you're careful, you can push down on the piston while turning the crankshaft. It's a very challenging thing to do appropriately, because the idea is you've got to bring the whole shebang down to the bottom where you can get around and put the rod bolts in. Okay? So you can see I've got it down here at the bottom now where I can get at it. Oh, damn it. You can't see that. Judas Priest. Let me show you what I'm doing, friends. Anyway. So I followed it down, and you can see that now the rod cap is on. Well, it's not on. The rod cap's on. I'm going to ready to put the rod cap on, but I can actually get to it because I've rotated it down to the bottom. Okay? Now, again, let's go back and look at our sheet. We've got all that on. Okay? Let's make sure we dot all our I's and cross our T's here. Beautiful. Okay? We did not look up the rod cap torque yet. We'll do that momentarily. We're going to install the rod cap and tighten it down. Cool. Nice. There you go. Beautiful. Yeah. Let's go look at the manual. That was in section, what did I say? I forgot. Section 9 of the shop manual. And if I was smart, which no one's ever accused me of that, I would have written it down the last time we had the connecting rod off when we were checking specs. You recall the other day we were checking specs for the clearance. And if I was smart, I torqued it down the other day, I would have written it down. But I'm not that bright. So, here we are. We're in check section 9 now at this point. Let's see if we can find it. Up. Okay, no. Down. Whoa! Let's go, friend. To the bottom. To the bat cave. Connecting rod reject size. Okay. Rod screw torque. Yep, there we go. 100 inch-pounds. I remember that the other day. That's right. So 100 inch-pounds. That's what we're going to torque this down to. Okay. We'll put a little bit of lube on that while we're here. Free lube. Make sure you line your paint marks up. Again, that's kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal, I feel like, you know. I feel like it's a big deal. It is. You are not wrong, ma'am, sir, person. You are not wrong. To quote Joe Biden, former vice president. It's a big effing deal, man. Alright, so we're going to torque these babies down 100 inch pounds. Remember, 100 inch pounds is like 8 1/3 foot pounds. Why is that? Because an inch is 12 times smaller than a foot. So in order to get the same amount of force, you'd have to apply a lot more force on a lot shorter of a arm, a lever. Look at that, it's already set at 100. It's as if we just done this the other day. OMG, Josh. Now, I'm going to lose this long extension, and I'm going to go ahead and run it down with this ratchet. Get it snugged up, not tight, but snugged up, and then we'll go from there. Apparently, it's still, I'm just being a wimp. I thought it was tight, but it is not tight. Come on, groom. You can do it. Come on, man. You got this. Riveting TV here, friend. Riveting TV. So how's it going? Like you doing anything? Like you just, like, are you hanging out with anyone? Like you see anybody ever? I mean, on the DL, because you know you're not supposed to see people. Because the government will come get you if you see people, you know. Come on now. Tighten up. Here we go, Betsy. We're getting there, friends. Woo! For those of you playing along at home, this is a 5/16 socket on a 1/4 inch drive ratchet. Good night, nurse in a bucket. Come on now. Come on. Yeah, Mom, Mr. Grimm spent 15 minutes tighting 2 tiny little bolts. There we go. Torque them down. Woo, nice. And nice. There we go, friends. We're torqued, we're ready to go. So, what's next? Okay, well, what's next is we got to get our camshaft back in, and we have to align our timing marks. Remember the timing mark, the arrow on the crankshaft goes around like yonder, and the timing mark on our cam is like so. So that light marks are lined up. Okay. What is next? Oh, fart. And you weren't even watching me. Gosh, I feel like you should have been watching. I don't really care. You didn't miss much. All I was doing was torquing down a couple of bolts, dude. Whatever. Okay. Okay, now we're going to reinstall. Okay. Using the 2 bolts again. Same thing we did last time. And we're going to demonstrate the correct 4 strokes. And you're going to tell me how that works and so forth. Nice. And you can turn it 4 full or 2 full. Well, you're going to turn it around a couple times, right? Now, how many times are you going to turn it? Well, let's see if you remember. Okay? I mean, it tells you, but let's just see here. So, here we go. Yeah, again, I'm going to put that side cover back on, the PTO cover, and put it back on. Okay. Remember, round goes toward cam over there. Again, kind of hard to screw it up, though. Line up your dowels. Give a little tappy. All right, get a couple of bolts here. It doesn't really matter where you put them. Okay, all you do is snug it up to make it so that everything rotates appropriately inside. Nothing's going to get bound up because it's loose in there. Okay. Come on now. Okay. So if are you watching? Are you watching? I guess you are. All right, here we go. So as I turn this baby, piston's up. Now piston's going down, but both valves are closed. But look, piston's coming up, and what do you got here? Well, the intake is open. Well, that's just freaking weird, dude. So what does that say? It says I'm going about this backwards. Okay. What I should be doing is turn it this way. So turning piston going down, intake up. It's coming up on compression. Boom! Spark plug fires. Down she goes on the power stroke, the one we all came to see. Up she comes on exhaust. Voila. Do it again. Okay? Nice piece of cake. Now, we are going to do 7 and 8 together because they are very small. Well, actually, that was 8. I'm sorry, that was 8. So now I'm going to do, let's do 9 too. What the heck? Let's do 9. We'll store here, man. So 9, okay, we've already installed all that. Now we have to input our governor in, okay, and or the oil pump. We don't have an oil pump when it comes to, and then we're going to use a gasket, and we're going to take care of some of that stuff. So let me get some of the gasket sets ready to go, and we'll get right back to you. Okay, so here we are, taking the side cover back off last time. Okay, so we need to get on, first of all, this little washer went against our cam gear right there to protect it. Okay, then this, remember, this is our centrifugal governor. The faster this spins, those little arms kick out. You see that? So when it kicks out, it pushes this little lever, okay, pushes it out like so. And when it pushes it out, it pulls that lever like so. You seen that? Yeah. And that slows the engine down because it lets the throttle off. This baby just sits on there. I don't see a lot of lube on there. I'm going to put just a hair more lube on that just for a good time. If that's okay with you. A little bit more on this guy too, since I've had it off 3 or 4 times now. Okay, there we go. Cool. Nice. All right, so there we go. This just sits on like so, but the important thing is this little plastic piece has got to be right on the end of this lever. Do you see that? That's a big deal. Okay, can't oversell that. It's a big, big deal. Now, once this is on, you see this big Humpty Dumpty here. That is what sits over. It doesn't allow it to move once you get it all ready to go. So let's double check our instructions one more time here. And then we'll continue on with our process. There you go. I did that. So let's go look up the cover specs. This is in section 11, table 5. So section 11, table 5. Let's just go find it while we're here. You know what I'm saying? You feel me, dog? What? Are we in 11 yet, dog? Yep. Table 5. Table 5, I said. There you go. So the 85, it looks like 85 inch pounds. Okay, 85 inch pounds. That's what our side cover bolts are. Now, we said we need to make sure that we use a new gasket. Okay, so back over here. Okay, we're gonna go ahead. Oops, I was gonna look at the instructions first. Sorry. So our instructions are here. Okay. Using a new gasket, and we're going to tighten them down to the manufacturer's torque spec, which is what we said. There you go. Cool. And here we go. So here are our new gaskets. Oh, fart. What you get for using scissors, you should have ripped it open. No. Now, if you were in class, I would yell at all of you at this point, stop you. It comes in a little package like this, okay? You don't want to rip this whole package open because literally everything will spill out if you do that. So you want to just make a little slice across the top of this deal. And I'm kind of keeping these videos for maybe in the future if we ever have to do some crap like this again. I can just pull them out and go with them. Or if a kid misses class, I can just pull them out and go with them. Now, you'll notice that there's a couple of different size side cover gaskets. In theory, that they're slightly different widths, so that if you had a situation where you had a little extra backlash, if you're really rebuilding an engine, you might go into a little deeper details. In reality, it doesn't make a whale of a difference for what we're doing purpose-wise. Lay it on there. Okay, make sure it's lined up. All the holes are lined up properly. Okay, going to get our cover on. Again, make sure that's on the little lever before you get started on this. Stop moving, you like you're a freshman or something. Don't listen to me. Hey. All right, tappy. Nice. Here they are. It should be 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Again, I'm just going to run around and snug them up first. Let's torque them down momentarily. Last one. Now again, if this were a situation where you're doing a full rebuild on this thing, this particular kit that we order well, this one, oh, I got some new ones. Actually, it came with them this year. This seal can be changed out, okay, as can this one. Normally, I don't necessarily order those because, well, my kit doesn't always come with those, put it that way. And so it's hard to find these kits that are like the perfect kits this year. Apparently I found them on accident. I hadn't really looked at them until just now. Obviously I just opened them up. But if you have those, you certainly can change those as well. One thing I would caution you on, if you didn't have to, is the guy can actually, if you're not careful, you can actually mess stuff up driving the old one out. Although it'd probably be a good skill to know. So we're going to go side to side here, kind of a star pattern-ish. So right across the. Pretty much always want to do this when you're torquing in pretty much anything. A lot of things they'll give you a pattern to follow. They don't give you a pattern to follow, just kind of go side to side, back and forth. It helps that we don't get one side torqued down too much and get a little bind and stuff. And then lastly, after I've torqued them all, I like to just go around the horn one more time. Just double check that I didn't miss anybody. That's just my own personal preference. To me, it just makes the most sense. Especially on a wheel, for instance, I never want to miss one of those. A couple years ago, I guess it was last year, one kid had done my brakes here in the shop, which is fine. And he didn't torque my wheel down. 2 of them, I think. Anyway, I went on the road and friggin' there's a weird boomity boomity boomity. I'm like, what is going on? This is so weird. Well, yeah, sucker didn't tighten them down. It kind of freaked me out. It could have been really dangerous. Okay, now we're gonna put the head on. Okay, so my head is laying over here. Here are my head bolts. Like so. We'll look up the torque spec momentarily. Let's go ahead and get these started. Okay. Now, excuse me. Okay. When in doubt, if you're not sure exactly where the thing came off, set it on there and go, yeah, okay, everything lines up right. However, this piece here with this little extra piece, that holds the recoil housing on. Recoil housing goes on this side. That's how I remember it. Also, Spark plug goes more toward the valves than not toward the valves. Okay? Here's our head gasket. Whereas I like some part of this kit, head gasket looking a little cheesy. But oh well, I guess. Now, if you're playing along at home, if this were your actual engine that you'd done in class, you would realize that, Mr. Vroom, there's this piece of tin that has 3 bolts in it. I forgot where it goes. Well, in the real world, you wouldn't have forgot where it goes because it only goes on one way. It goes right here. Okay, it goes in this carved out piece of the head. You may remember I mentioned that to you. Also, it sticks out to the side that the carburetor goes on. Okay, you're like, well, which side does the carburetor go on? I don't remember. Oh, this is terrible. That's why you take pictures, number 1. But number 2, you recall that the intake comes across from here and then into the intake port right there. So carburetor would sit right here. This bolts to the back of the carburetor. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and run these down real quick. Like a fool. Where is my extension? We'll look up the torque spec momentarily. It's not a huge deal at this time because I'm not over torquing them. I'm just snugging them up. Again, we'll do the same thing, kind of a crisscross pattern. When we go to torque them down, for right now, we're just snugging them up. Oftentimes on a big engine, they will say to take them down to like, say, maybe 50 foot-pounds initially. And then they'll go, no, I now go to 100 or whatever, right? So you kind of sneak up on it. Matter of fact, there's one, I don't know what engine we were doing recently in the shop here where it wanted you to do it in three steps. It was 50, 90, and then another 90 degrees or something like that. I forget what it was. Okay. They wanted you to sneak out. That was a torque to yield bolt. You remember those are the ones I told you about. It's a one-time use only, and then they stretch, so you can't reuse them. All bolts technically stretch, but those are designed to stretch a certain amount, and then they're done. You can't use them again. Okay, they're all snugged up. Let's look up the torque spec. It's coming back together, friends. Now, you'll notice that it says put some never sees on. Yeah, we took care of that already. And also it said put a heat shield on. There was no heat shield from this particular engine when we took it apart, I noticed. So that you shouldn't put like 2 and 12 together then and said, oh yeah, this one's been apart before, because clearly that would be section 6. Oh, I gotta go back to chapter 6 for goodness sakes. Anyways, so that's pretty clear evidence that it's been apart before because that had been left off. If it had never been torn up, that would still be on there at some point. Yeah. All right, we're getting close. Section 6. Valve tappet, clearance, more valve stuff. Cylinder head bolt. There we go. What do you say, friends? Cylinder head bolt. Remember we have a 10 series engine, 10,000 series engine down here. So for our 10,000 series aluminum, it's 140 inch-pounds. By the way, just trivia question, 140 divided by 12 is roughly 12. So it'd be about 12 foot-pounds is all. Come on, you hippie. Shimona, are we on? Can you see me? You can't see me, can you? Well, you're not missing much. I'm just dinking around with the old, getting the old baby cranked up to 140 inch-pounds. Now again, we're gonna go star pattern. I'm gonna go across from that guy. Go back across over to here. We're just gonna go back and forth. Remember, if this isn't tightened down, the head gasket could leak. Head gasket leaks, we lose compression, we don't run. No bueno, senor. No bueno. And again, I like to be thorough. I like to double check myself. Run around the corner again real quick, all of them. Okay, there they are, head bolt secured. Okay, I think that's the last thing we had to do for section 9, but let's double check ourselves here. Section 9, cool. Answer the questions. Yeah. Remember, purpose of never sees or anti-seize. Okay, well, technically we're using never sees when we were doing the lubrication as well. This particular assembly lube, this stuff actually was a Honda stuff, and they kind of used it anyways. But specifically, when you're putting steel bolts into aluminum, they tend to gall together, and you need to put a little bit on there. Okay. If you forgot the oil pump or slinger, what would happen? Well, we don't have a slinger because this is not a vertical shaft engine or a horizontal shaft engine. We have a vertical shaft engine. That means the thing runs up and down. It's sitting like it's horizontal, but it's not. If this were the way the lawnmower sat, if this were the way the engine sat, they had a little scooper deal like this, and it would fling oil all around the inside of the engine to lube it up. But because ours sits like this, everything kind of runs in the oil. You see that? Tecumseh had a little deal. It was kind of a pushy. It would push in, and when it sucked out, it sucked some oil in, and it'd force it in, and it would force oil sprayed all around the inside of the engine. It's kind of a cool deal. But if you had a horizontal shaft, again, sitting the way like it is right now, nothing would be lubricated, and your engine would die. You'd burn it up. So there you go.